Did you know that you're a beautiful creation? Did you know that you're wonderfully made? You see, in the Bible, in Psalms 139, in one of the verses, it states that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. But the real thing is, are we taking God's words and seeing it upon our lives? Like, are we acting it upon our lives, right? The reason why I say this is because it's so easy to look at creation and people's lives and be like, oh my gosh, like, what about them? What about them? Like, you want what they want. Or even creation, you look how beautiful creation is, and then you look at yourself and be like, I don't know, that like what happened to me, God? Like, did you miss a step? Like, what's going on? But it's like, when God says you are fearfully and wonderfully made, he didn't just say it to one person. He said to everyone that when God creates you, he creates you with a purpose. He creates you with such intention in mind. So when God says you are fearfully and wonderfully made, in another verse said that in the womb, that when he created you so detailed. He knit you together in in your mother's womb. So if you look at creation and say it's beautiful, but then you look at yourself and you condemn yourself, you're literally condemning God's creation, which is yourself. And one thing I was talking to my roommate about is she was just telling me about giving up stuff, for God. And one of the things that, like, is so real is giving up your giving up what you think about yourself. You know how God says in this word, don't idolize, don't idolize. But little do we know that idolization is not only statues or objects. Idolization is whatever you put on top of God. So if you put your thoughts about yourself or people's thoughts about yourself about what God says about you, you are idolizing their opinions above God. Because if God says that you are a wonderful creation and someone else is saying you're ugly or you're blah blah blah, you're blah blah blah, I beg, why should you care what they say? Like, the Heavenly Father who created you say that you are wonderfully made, that you are a wonderful, complex, human being. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like saying, like, one thing I heard from the Christian club that was so real is, we tend to speak negative about ourselves. Like, not even like beautiful or appearance aspects, but just things like saying, like, people are saying, like, one thing we're saying is, your words have power. Your words could speak life and death. Your words literally have power. And one thing I realized is that like, when you, like, people say now, like, oh, I am, like, God forbid, but like when people say that, oh, I am sick, I have anxiety, I am ugly, I am all of these. Literally, do you realize that in the book of Moses, right, when Moses was meeting God on the mountain, and God said, I am. So when you said you are speaking negative about yourself, you're not only speaking negative about yourself, but you're also saying something that God is not. If you're saying I am fearful, you're saying God is fearful, because God calls himself what? I am. So that's why God says always speak life with your mouth, because little do you know you can speak negative with the things that you're saying without even knowing. You know